Welcome to Consulting Mastery, where we help B2B consultants master the business of consulting. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Ahmed. Join us as we explore the art of delivering outstanding client value, earning a higher income, and thriving in today's marketplace. I managed to convince Anna to do another episode, so here we are. We're back again, Anna. If you didn't catch the last episode of the show, go back and give it a listen. It's about not selling your skills and instead selling outcomes and results, because that's what clients actually want to buy. And at the end of that episode, Anna made a really interesting point. In the context of selling results and selling outcomes, what you will find often when you articulate yourself that way is you will develop more clarity on what clients actually want to buy and not obfuscate the matter with, all the things that you can do, because they don't want all the things that you can do. They want what's going to solve their problem. So I'm going to share a quick story that came out of 90-Day Pipeline from Anna's coaching with a client. And then Anna, I want to get your, kind of color commentary and some of the takeaways for folks on the story. So what happens in 90-Day Pipeline is, first order of business is you need to identify and characterize who your target market is and make some decisions around which markets you're going to pursue. And the training plus Anna's coaching helps facilitate those decisions. And once you have a target in mind, the directive is go and conduct some firsthand customer research interviews with people in that market to gather some data on problems and challenges and pain points and unmet needs. Okay. So Anna was coaching a client, we're going to call him RP, through that process. And here's what came out of RP's exercise. He had this hypothesis that clients need help in 9 areas. There were 9 things that he thought clients needed help with. He went and interviewed 5 clients. One of them wasn't a good fit. One of them just wasn't looking for help right now. And then 3 of them all pointed to one very specific thing out of his 9 things that they needed help with. And in particular, it was in the context of developing a new product suite was where they wanted help. And he had all kinds of other things in his solution around, marketing and sales process and CRM and all this other stuff, right? He's a bit of a go-to market strategist in a nutshell. But 3 out of the 5 clients who actually had interest in working with him all said, we want this new market thing. That's where our real pain point is. That's where we're really motivated. And they all said to him, how can you help us with that? And so what RP is doing now is, well, hopefully, last we talked, right? He's doing away with, items 1 to 8 and focusing on the one thing the market told them that they actually want to buy and centering his proposition around that one thing. So that's the story. Anna, I'm keen to hear from you a few things. Let's start here. What kind of path would he have had to go down had he not come to this realization that they want 1 out of the 9 things and not all 9?
Well, this is like the thing that a lot of our 90-Day Pipeline clients come in with, which is they have these like really, really robust services and they wonder why clients aren't buying them. And they're like, well, I'm getting on the calls, like I'm clear on my target market, or they believe they're clear, and I'm just, no one's like buying this. And I just think the market is bad, is what they say, the recession or whatever, there's market issues. And my response is, there is a market issue. It's your market issue. It's called product market fit. And that is the issue, which is if you've never taken the time to really, without a point of view already in place, you've never taken the time to really understand, like, where is the market right now, your specific market, and what is it that they really want a solution to, you're going to be just guessing on this solution. So what do a lot of people do when they're guessing? They add in a bunch of extra stuff because it's like, well, if like there's like a 55% chance now that they want something out of these 9 things, right? So people are kind of going in with this like scattershot approach of explaining their service offering or offerings, and it's not really landing with anyone because business people who would be buyers of a consulting service really don't think of or have the energy to like coach and educate a consultant to say like, hey, like out of the 9 things, only the one thing matters, right? So I think that's where it kind of comes from.
I really think that last point that you made there is just, it's so important for folks to understand. They're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Like, no client is going to, come to your LinkedIn profile or go to your website or have a conversation with you, go, like, I wonder how I can take the 9 things that they can do, and I wonder how I can find what's actually relevant to me in those 9 things, and I wonder if I can work with them to figure out if there's a business. No one's doing that.
Right.
Right? If they don't right away see immediate relevance in what you do, you are invisible. You don't exist. You're nothing to them. And it's funny, like, you started off with, people have these really great ideas about things that they can do and services that they've maybe done in the past. I don't doubt it, right? Like, well, I know my market. I don't know why nobody's buying. Well, because you don't know your market, right? And knowing your market at a point in time doesn't mean you know your market today.
Right.
We were chatting on the front end of this call, and like, how did I start this call, Anna, when we first got on?
You were like, I want to learn about where my market is today. Like, what questions could I ask? Right.
I started this call with Anna. We were supposed to record podcast episodes, and I said, can I get some consulting? She, of course, obliged me. And I said, look, I'm running this customer research campaign, and I'm getting a lot of really positive responses here. And what do you think about questions I should ask here? And how do you feel about this strategy? Like, we've graduated 1,000 clients through 90-day pipeline, and I still want to know, because that was then.
Right.
But like, markets change their dynamic. Where are they today? If I don't know that, we're irrelevant.
Right. Yeah. And I think sometimes too, there's a myth that consultants get in their mind around this too, where they're like, well, it makes me more accessible to clients, or a better consultant, more expert, if I have more like breadth of what I offer. Like, if I'm offering all the 9 things. And I think that is really, 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 really entrenched in terms of a belief that people have. It comes from this idea of like corporate skills, and like, again, listen to the other podcast about that. But ultimately it makes you stand out to no one. And it also makes it really hard for people who might even want to help you get deals to do that. Right. Like, I had a call with someone who I know from my network, stepping out of corporate into consulting. I was like, so what do you do and for whom? Totally all over the place. And that's to be expected, I think, a little bit in the early stages, but so all over the place that I was, offering my coaching as a strategy coach and not even able to hear it. Now, I don't think that's a negative reflection on that person. I think that's very, very, very symptomatic of how a lot of consultants are operating, where they've got 2016's client market understanding, and they're going to calls and they're saying, well, the market's just not buying. But they haven't really listened since then to what is the market in 2024 heading into 2025. What are they saying? So they're not even able to hear feedback, if there was any feedback that was going to be tendered by their, prospective client.
Forget 2016. I mean, we got a lot of people that have worked with maybe 5 clients in the past 2 years because they work with a lot of big whales.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, okay, well, don't tell me that, the 2 or 3 clients you're working with right now are representative of the entire market. Like, don't tell me you're trying to extrapolate your very, very, in the grand scheme of things, limited experience with the clients that you do have and you've worked with in the past to represent the entire market sentiment. Now, we're not going to go and talk to the entire market, but surely there's some kind of middle ground between the one client you have right now and where the entire market is at.
Right, for sure. Yeah, and it also has to do with like the kinds of questions you're asking, like how you're showing up to that conversation. There's a whole host of things that would get you better, more neutral and applicable insight that you can use to narrow your services from 9 to 1 or 2, or take your flagship service and reorient the way you deliver it to be more in line with your buyer's needs, or how their business, approaches their business planning life cycle, or whatever those matters are. A lot of times we're just kind of guessing instead of getting that fact. And I think I think getting the facts from our clients and learning how to apply that is really, that's kind of the point here, right? Like that's what we need to be doing if we're not already doing well in business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's go back to the story there, because I think that really illustrates the point you're making very well. This particular client, I think previously, if I recall correctly, was kind of selling themselves as like a go-to market consultant. And there's a very specific industry that's being targeted here. And again, what he found was his market is really interested in this like new product development piece. Like, how do we develop and inform our next round of products that we can take to the market? And what he found through that was, oh, so they're not looking for a go-to market consultant, right? And it's a really important thing to take away. Like, clients aren't necessarily looking for the way that you frame yourself. Right. You might call yourself a go-to market or whatever consultant, but what they're actually looking for, in his case, this very specific market, was looking for, well, we got a problem with developing new products. We don't have a strategy for that. We don't know how to identify what the market needs. We don't know where the market's going. They had these very specific pain points in mind. Now, had he gone to market with, I'm a go-to market consultant, likely a lot of crickets. But now if he goes to market with, well, I can help, X companies, his target market, develop new products that are future-proof and yada, yada, yada. Well, I'd rather compete for that market. Like, that sounds like greener pastures to me.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, how many thousand millions of go-to-market consultants are there, right? Even if you're targeting a specific industry, if all you're saying is I'm a go-to-market and I'm a jack of all trades around go-to-market, you're not going to win unless you're the lowest price, right? Because that's a commodity, essentially, go-to-market consultants. I know hundreds of them myself. So if you're instead positioning yourself as, I'm the guy who does this very specific type of business innovation, blah, 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 and you get the words right, as in the words are the words your clients and your market use to describe this, you're not competing against anyone, right? There's going to be very, very few people that are saying, I do the same exact thing. And in that case, it's going to be, because it's such a low competition market for you to be in around that thing, you're going to end up being able to kind of sell based on methodology and based on outcome and impact compared to any other consultant that you might even be up against. But again, it's narrowing the field.
There's a contention I want to make here. I just want you to validate how you think about this for a second. I want to say that the more established the organization, the less interested they are in generic solutions. And the more interested they are in specific solutions. To use the example that we're running with here, like an established organizations, if you go to them with a go-to-market consulting offer, well, that's big. I mean, that's potentially very disruptive. I mean, I don't even know how to buy that. Like, what's going to break? Who do I have to fire?
That's supposed to be someone's job that works there.
That's somebody's job,
right?
Versus you go to that same client with, well, you have this very specific problem with identifying and developing new products, and you've got a high product failure rate, and I can solve that. That's way easier to buy.
100%. I think that companies, especially like the larger organizations, which many of our consultants serve, there's three kinds of expertise they're looking to bring in. Number one is full-time employees, for obvious reasons, to be there all the time, to have the institutional knowledge, to make the impact, set the goals, achieve the goals. They want to bring in contractors. So these are like freelancers, and some consultants are actually operating as a contractor or freelancer, but think they're a consultant. Doesn't matter.
Most, I would say.
Yeah, doesn't matter what your email signature says, friends. It's what you're operating as. Those people are used.
No, but I have an LLC, Anna, so I'm
exactly.
I'm a 1099, so I'm not
Those
definitely
people are for basically overflow, right? So those are for activities that the company would have an employee do if they had an employee that could do them, have the capacity, the resources to do it. But now we're overflowing our capacity onto these contractors. Again, doesn't matter the label.
They're just more expendable employees.
Exactly. You're the first on the chopping block, so exciting for you. And then we have consultants. Consultants are brought in to solve a very specific problem, and it doesn't matter their skills, capabilities, etc. It is, I mean, obviously they have to prove that they can do the job, but it's The framing is around the very specific problem. So if you are basically wanting to be a consultant, you can't show up with contractor messaging, right? You have to show up with, this is the big, very specific, gnarly problem that no employee or contractor is going to be focused on and able to solve, that you need a consultant to solve, because that's what I'm doing as a consultant. So I think that's something to really think about, because again, it doesn't matter what we call ourselves. If we're in that excess capacity, taking on kind of the work of the team, like, oh, there's already a head of marketing, but I'll be your extra hand at go to market. You're a contractor. A consultant says to the head of marketing, you've got this whole go to market thing under control, except for this one piece that you told me about. And I'm just going to take care of this one piece for you. And I think that's an important distinction.